Well, hi guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we're going to discuss why it is important to discuss previous relationships with your current partner. Now, personally, I believe it's important to an extent because every relationship we go through, we learn something in that relationship, whether it's good or it's bad. We learn something about the other person, we learn something about our likes and dislikes, we learn something about ourselves in every single relationship we go through. So we have to take that kind of into context and say that we learn something in every relationship, whether it's good or bad. And I think it's good to pass that on to your current partner and say, okay, this is what happened in the relationship. This is what I learned, be it good or bad. This is what I learned. And they know exactly where you're coming from and what you went through, whether it was a good relationship, whether it was an abusive relationship, whether it ended well, whether it ended poorly. You know, they're part of your life now, and they have a right to know exactly what you've been through in your life and your personal experiences. I also say at the same time though, don't badmouth your partner, or at least try not to badmouth your partner as much as possible, your former partner, should I say, because you know, the other person in the relationship is going to look at the situation and say, well, one day things may go wrong and I may become your ex. And if you're bad-mouthing your previous ex, what's to stop that happening with me? And the kiss of death on a date really is to start bad-mouthing your exes. If you start bad-mouthing your exes, or if you meet someone who is constantly bad-mouthing their exes on a date, stay away from that person. Because that person has not learned the fundamentals. One of the fundamentals is there are two people in a relationship. A relationship is two people coming together. So if a relationship fails, it is not, 100% on the other person. There is a certain component which you are personally responsible for. And you have to accept that, you have to acknowledge that, and you have to accept that yourself. It doesn't mean you broadcast out to the world and say you're a bad person and all this kind of stuff. It just means that you accept that you played a part in the failure of your previous relationship. Whether, even if you're a saint and you happen to marry the wrong person, it doesn't matter. You at least you picked the wrong person. That's your failure. There is one failure in every relationship from each side, at least. And we have to remember that. So if someone says, hey, all my exes were assholes and yada, 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 just stay away from that person. So I believe that telling, most of what happened in your previous relationships is a good thing for your current relationship, because your partner can learn from it and learn from what you went through. And then again, I don't think you should actually reveal absolutely everything. There are some horrible things that happen to us in relationships that we shouldn't reveal. Maybe your ex had some weird ways and you don't want to talk about those. And that's perfectly fine as well. If it's not going to impact your current relationship, then why bother bringing it out in the open and talking about it? If it's no relevance to your current relationship and it will never be any relevance to your current relationship, then there's no point talking about it really. Unless you want to badmouth the other person, and you shouldn't be badmouthing the other person anyway. You shouldn't be bad-mouthing your exes. I've already told you about that. You should not do that. So, if it has a bearing on the current relationship, then sure, let your partner know. But if it just has no bearing at all on your current relationship, then there's no reason to just bring out a dirty laundry and talk about your exes and all that kind of stuff. Because it's just pointless, and it may be a way for you to let it off your chest and let off some steam, but it also makes you look like the bad guy, and you don't want to look like the bad guy in a relationship. Simple as that. Past relationships also have a big impact, I have to say, on current relationships. Because the past builds us into what we are today. We have to recognize that. Think about when you enter your first relationship. You're basically clueless and you're muddling your way through, and you maybe get some advice from friends or a little bit of advice from family and stuff. but the rest of the time you're just completely clueless in your first relationship. And it's a miracle any first relationship actually lasts, because most of us go out there and we have no clue what the heck we are doing. And what happens? We build our knowledge through that relationship, and it'll probably fail, yeah, but then the next relationship will be even better, and the next relationship will be better than that, and so forth until we have, you know, hopefully one day we have an amazing relationship with the one, and then we're married and everything's hunky-dory. So our past has a big bearing on our current relationship and our future, and we have to remember that. And that's especially true if you're, you know, the victim of abuse. You've been through an abusive relationship. Maybe you're married to someone who had some, you know, serious mental health disorders maybe. And if you've been through that kind of stuff, it will rub off on you. You will have things, crazy things like PTSD and stuff like that, which maybe we'll go into another video, but those things can seriously control your life, and they can seriously disrupt your life as well. Honestly, when things like that take over, when things like PTSD take over, it is like someone just jumped in your body and took control, and you really have no control over what the heck is going on and what the heck you're doing. And you try to stay away from that mode, shall we say, in your brain as much as possible. But sometimes if you've been through an abusive relationship, and maybe some people listening will realize this, is the smallest thing can trigger it. Maybe like getting a text message or something like that can trigger you to basically have a panic attack. That's not normal. Honestly, that's completely abnormal for anybody to have a panic attack over a text message, but it's because you went through a previous relationship that was particularly bad, and maybe she blew up your phone or he blew up your phone over something, and now you basically have panic attacks over simple things, and it sucks, yeah, but it is because your past relationship has a bearing on where you are currently, and ultimately has a bearing on where you are in the future. So your partner needs to know about all that stuff, and your partner needs to probably, in some cases, adapt to it to ensure that they don't cause, you know, more problems for you, especially if you've been a victim of abuse in the past. Really, the important thing to understand about past relationships is they are past, and they are past for a reason. And the real interesting thing about memory sometimes is we kind of forget those reasons sometimes. It's kind of remarkable. Basically, you remember as time goes on, you remember the happy times, but you won't remember sometimes the times that absolutely sucked. Unless you go through a really terrible relationship and you remember the bad times as well. Trust me, I know about that one, but. So you'll look back at these relationships in the past and you'll think, wow, that was a really good relationship. Well, hey genius, it wasn't a good relationship because, you know what? It ended. That person is your ex. So it couldn't have been that good. There must have been some unfulfilled need there, which you don't know about and you've kind of forgotten about over time. And you are in love with the feeling you had at that point in time, but really, there were bad times, you don't really remember it. So past relationships, let's say, they're there for us to learn from, but never go back to, ever. Anyway guys, I hope you found this video useful. Click down there, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back soon. Thank you.